Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kat, and today I'm doing my most disappointing reads of 2024 so far. So these are the reads that I had such high hopes and they just did not deliver. So we have 6 books to talk about. We're gonna start off with a DNF. This is Black Sheep by Rachel Harrison. And this was so freaking boring. It's about a girl that goes back to visit her family who they're known for being like gothic and a little culty, a little weird. And she's escaped and she's worked like in the city. But when she goes back for a wedding, she starts to realize more about like her family secrets. And if you've read it, you know that something about that premise is right up my alley. It should be perfect, but it was so boring. I was bored. Why am I bored when there's so many things that I should love? Are all of Rachel Harrison's books like this? Because I've heard she does like cozy horror, and there's another author that is in my worst books of the year that is also cozy horror, and I didn't get on with their writing either. So I just don't think cozy is my type of horror. Yeah, should I avoid Rachel Harrison in the future? Let me know. Next, I want to talk about A Small Apocalypse by Laura Chow Reeve. This is a short story collection, and I should have loved this. It's an examination of cultural inheritance, hybridity, queerness, and the stickiness of home, with an eye for both the uncanny and the human bodies becoming reptilian, queer ghosts haunting their friends, a young woman learning to pickle memories, and a theater flooding during an apocalyptic movie marathon. Everything was like completely ready for me to love this. But as I was reading, I read like half of this, and I was giving every single story between 2 and 3 stars only. Oh my gosh. And the next one on this is such a letdown. I just DNF'd this last night. Last night I started Lady Venom Takes a Mistress by Kat Blackthorne. This sounds so perfect for me. It's about like a town that borders the forest, and in the forest lives Lady Venom, who kills 7 men every year. She also lets her snakes kill men if they enter the forest and get too close to her manor. And we are following a main character who, the first day, she goes to her bidding, which is like men in the town can bid on the women and make them their wives to just like produce babies and cook for them. Blech. Anyway, I love the main character because she's older, because ever since her 18th birthday, she has avoided the bidding every year by doing crazy things. So when she turned 18, she shaved her head. The next year she rolled in poison ivy. The next year, like, she burned her dress. So anyway, this year her mom has avoided all her tricks and she goes to the bidding. And her last trick is like to put soot in her mouth, so when she smiles it looks like her teeth are all rotten. But the guy, unfortunately, that's like the best guy of the trash, he is impressed by her, what's it called, stubbornness, and he thinks that that means she's gonna breed him sons. So he bids on her. So then day 2 is their wedding. The days are important here. Day 1 is the bidding, day 2 is the wedding, and she's like, he, the previous evening, had like assaulted her and told her he's gonna make her BLEED from every HOLE the night of their wedding. And I'm like, I can't wait to see this guy die. He needs to die immediately. Please kill him. So she is going down the aisle to her wedding on a horse, and she's looking between him, who's awful, and the forest where Lady Venom lives and kills people. So she's like, absolutely, I will take the death in the forest. So she rides the horse into the forest and is captured by Lady Venom and taken back to the manor. Day 3, okay? She realizes that Lady Venom is gonna make her her mistress, and they're gonna be like lovers. Okay, day 3, this is day 3. She's talking about how much she is in lust with Lady Venom. She knows her real name. They're doing it all over the castle. And I'm like, what happened to pacing? What happened to plotting? What in the ungodly, cringy dialogue is happening? The sex talk was abysmal. It was bad. It was not for me. And yeah, a lot of people liked it in the Goodreads reviews. Not for me. Now we are getting into the ones that I did complete. So number 3 most disappointing is Whispers of the Deep by Emma Hamm, and I am completely alone. I'm completely alone on my raft of not liking this. Like, a lot of people really love this, and I'm like, did we read the same book? I'm sorry. So this is about an underwater welder engineer who fixes things in this underground city that is on the ocean floor, and a like merman basically rescues her when she is drowning. And I really wanted to love this. I really wanted to love it. But this was just so monotonous because it turns into like this underwater road trip novel kind of, where they're going from like cave to cave and like nothing is really happening. And 2, the sex scenes were questionable because like there was like no prep. And I'm like, are we just pretending that water does that? Because water doesn't do that. Water is not your friend. So I'm confused. And also, I just didn't like it. Okay, number 2 most disappointing is Baby X. We are in a reproductive near future where people can choose which babies to continue on with, which embryos to continue on with. And you can actually like go into the genetic codes and sequencing to see what probability people will be like above normal. So not only are you seeing like if they'll be a super for athletics or intelligence or emotions, you can also see like what heritable diseases they have, but really more extensive than we have now. So what you have is a future where people they don't just get naturally pregnant anymore because it's considering rolling the dice on the outcome of your child. So you'd be given like 3 or 4 viable children and you would choose which one you want to go forward with. If you are one of the kids who was chosen, say maybe your parents chose you for super intelligence, but you have inherited a major disease, you can sue your parents for like giving birth to you despite knowing that you would suffer. There are so many things to talk about. And we're following 3 women. One is a journalist who was born by accident, which is super rare, from her parents, and she is investigating different reproductive like rights in society. Another one, there's a lady who is a surrogate who is carrying a baby for a gay man who lost his husband in a car accident. And the third one is a lady who is a DNA thief like protector. So she works for a rock star, and after every performance she cleans up everything and removes all traces of his DNA so no one can buy his DNA to have babies with him. So you're following those 3 threads and they kind of start to like intertwine, and I was so interested in the world that I think I was so mesmerized and wanted to see what was going to happen. But then as it came toward the end, I realized like I just wanted to see what would happen, but I didn't really care because I didn't care for the characters. Like I didn't have any love for them. So yeah, this one is so hard. It's so disappointing because like if I had just been made to care about the characters like more, this could have been like 4.5 even. So my most disappointing read of the year so far was a listen on audio. This is Markless by C.J. Malbury. And the reason it's the most disappointing isn't because it's a bad book at all. I give this 3.75. It's because without a specific thing happening in the plot, this would have been maybe 4.25, 4.5. This is set in a kind of an Africa adjacent fantasy world where the main character is a really powerful witch who gives offerings to the spirits, who they call like the maned one for lions or the spotted one for leopards or cheetahs. And she gives offerings to them and then she gains their powers to do things. And the other main character we're following is a princess who is the heir to the throne, and she needs power in order to avoid her fate. Because in this world, when you're born, there's two types of people who are marked and people who are not marked. So if you don't have a mark, you're called markless, and that's like the witch. She lives in the slums and she has no mark on her palm. If you are born with a mark, it's a half mark, and you are fated to someone in the world, and if your hands touch, your mark's complete, and like you share your mark with them and they share your mark with you, and it gives you power over your elemental power. So this is kind of like Avatar set in adjacent Africa with sapphic elements, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm frothing out the mouth over this. And the princess doesn't want to be bonded. She doesn't want to be under the control of like her fated mate bond. So she takes in the witch and her assistant, who's my favorite character in the book, to find a way to keep the bonds from setting. And I thought this was so good. The audiobook was so excellent. I loved the world. I loved the magic system. I loved the plot. I loved the pacing. I just couldn't get on board with the way that the female love interest, the icy princess, treated like two of the characters. I just couldn't get on board with it. It was not, and once she did that, I couldn't walk it back and be like, oh, it's fine. It's fine. You treated people who are really loyal to you like trash. That's fine. That's okay. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So, yeah, I didn't really love the very end. I didn't love the very end. And I so wanted to. There you go. Those were all my most disappointing books of 2024 so far. As you can tell, like, they all have elements that should make me love them, but they just missed the mark or fell short in some way. Yeah, let me know your most disappointing recs down below, and I will see you in another video soon. And yeah, bye!